My name is Jill. I'm sitting in a courthouse, the air thick with the smell of disinfectant and old paper. The judge has just granted me a 2-year no-contact order against my ex-boyfriend, Ryan. His mother, Mrs. Thompson, is glaring at me, hissing that I've ruined him. It's hard to believe how far we've come from the days when we were planning to move in together. Ryan comes from a wealthy family. His father is a successful businessman, strict and demanding, always pushing Ryan to achieve more. His mother, Mrs. Thompson, is a socialite, more concerned with appearances than anything else. They've always instilled in Ryan a sense of entitlement, making him believe that he can have whatever he wants. I, on the other hand, grew up in a middle-class family. My parents are hard-working and down-to-earth. They taught me the value of hard work, loyalty, and standing up for myself. Ryan and I had been together for 3 years. We used to go to this small Italian place near his apartment. It was a cozy spot with wobbly chairs and servers who knew our orders by heart. We'd been going there since the beginning of our relationship, arguing over who liked basil more and splitting everything evenly. One night, as we were sitting at our usual table, sketching out furniture arrangements on a napkin, the apartment was already chosen, and I'd paid the $500 deposit. Ryan set his fork down very carefully, like he'd practiced the movement. "Jill," he said, softening his voice, which immediately made my heart sink. "We need to talk." That phrase is never a good sign. It's like a warning siren. I nodded, my stomach in knots. He ran his hand through his hair and avoided my eyes. "I've been thinking a lot about us in the future," he said. "I'm only 23, and I've only been with a few women, including you. I feel like I've missed out on important experiences. I don't want to wake up at 40 and wonder what I could have done differently." I stared at him in disbelief. We weren't engaged or married, but we were moving in together. I asked slowly, "So, you're saying you don't want to move in?" He quickly shook his head. "No, that's not it. I just need some space, a pause to see what else is out there. But I'm confident we'll find our way back." I looked at him, really looked. He seemed so calm, so sure of himself. "You want to date other women?" I asked. He winced. "That's a harsh way to put it. I just need you to understand. You're the one I see myself marrying, it's just a matter of timing." "Timing?" I repeated. That word has ended more relationships than betrayal. I took a slow sip of my drink. "If I say no, what happens?" I asked. He hesitated for a second, and that half-second told me everything. "I think you'll regret it," he finally said. "Because this doesn't change how I feel about you." But at that moment, something inside me went still. I set my glass down and said evenly, "Ryan, if you walk away to explore, there's no coming back." He laughed, as if I was being dramatic. "Jill, people take breaks all the time." "This isn't a break," I said. "This is you wanting permission to treat me like an option." His smile faded. "You're twisting this," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm finally hearing you correctly." I reached for my purse, stood up, and said, "I wish you luck. Explore freely." He snapped, "Jill, sit down." I placed cash on the table for my half of the bill. "No pause, no reunion," I said. His face went from surprise to disbelief. "You'll change your mind," he said. I looked at him one last time. "I already have." And I walked out. That night, I called the landlord and forfeited my $500 deposit. I told myself it was a small price to pay to avoid a future that would have been a nightmare. I blocked Ryan everywhere. For 2 months, there was silence. I foolishly thought it was over. But life kept moving forward. The first week after the breakup was like being peeled out of my own skin. Every little thing reminded me of Ryan, the grocery aisles where we used to argue over pasta, the song he always played too loud at the gym. But beneath the pain, there was a sense of relief. Loving someone who thought my loyalty was his property was exhausting. I decided to throw myself into new routines. I joined a yoga class on Wednesdays, not because I loved yoga, but because it was a place Ryan had never been. I also signed up for a photography course at a local community college. At work, I took on more projects and asked for a promotion. As the weeks passed, I started hearing about Ryan through mutual friends. One of my friends, Tom, casually mentioned one night that Ryan was doing well. "He's out a lot," Tom said. "Where?" I asked, hating myself for caring. Tom shrugged. "Clubs, parties, some weekend trips. I think he went to Miami." I tried to act like it didn't matter, but one night, I opened his Instagram profile without thinking. It was private, blocked by him. It irritated me because it felt like he was trying to control what I knew about his new life. A few months later, I started getting messages from his friends. First, it was his best friend, Lily. She texted me on a random Thursday afternoon. "Hi Jill, this is Lily. Can we talk?" I knew Lily. She'd always been friendly to me at parties. I didn't reply. 5 minutes later, another text came. "He's not doing well. He made a mistake. He's hurting. Please just hear him out." I stared at my phone, my pulse racing. Ryan had been living it up in Miami just a few weeks ago. Why was his friend suddenly begging? I set my phone down and focused on my work. The next day, I got a message on LinkedIn from Ryan's older sister, Sarah. Her message was all polished and corporate. "Hi, Jill. I hope you're doing well. I saw you might be attending Mark's birthday this weekend. Ryan mentioned you. He's been giving you space, but he really wants to talk when you're ready." I didn't reply to Sarah either. But then, the coincidences started. I went to my favorite coffee shop near my office one Friday morning. I always got the same latte and sat by the window. Ryan hated that place, always said it smelled like old books. But there he was, at the counter, turning around slowly as if he'd been waiting for me. "Jill," he said, his eyes widening. "What a coincidence." I stared at him. He looked good, like he'd been trying to make an impression. "You don't like this place," I said. He smiled. "People change." There was a warning in his voice. He followed me as I went to the register. "I've been meaning to reach out," he said softly. I didn't look at him. "No, you haven't." He flinched. "That's not fair." I paid for my drink, took my receipt, and turned to face him. "Ryan," I said quietly. "If you keep showing up where I am, we're going to have a problem." His smile slipped a bit. "I just wanted to talk," he said. After everything we'd had, after 3 years, he was standing in my routine like he belonged there. I walked away without answering. As I reached the door, I heard him say, "You're really going to punish me forever for one mistake?" The word punish made me freeze. It was as if he thought my boundaries were cruelty. I didn't turn back. I left. 2 nights later, I came back from my yoga class. My hair was still damp, and I was carrying my yoga mat. As I walked down the hall to my apartment, I saw Ryan sitting outside my door. He was wearing an old college sweatshirt of mine. "We need to talk," he said. My heart hardened. "You don't get to sit outside my home," I said, my keys in my hand. "How did you get in the building?" He smiled faintly. "Mrs. Johnson still thinks we're together." "Enough," I said. "Say what you need to say and leave." He hesitated, then took a breath. "I messed up. I thought I needed to see what else was out there, but now I know. You're the one I want to build a life with." I opened my door, stepped inside, and left it open. "I'm done listening," I said. He pleaded, 3 years. "Don't we deserve a conversation?" I laughed humorlessly. "No, we already had it at that Italian place." He tried to explain. I explored, I dated, but none of it mattered. You're the one. I stared at him. You mean now, after the novelty wore off? That's not fair. He stepped closer. I always knew you were the one, I just needed to be sure. I replied, you asked me to wait while you sampled alternatives. You can't treat me like a storage unit. His voice sharpened. You're overreacting. There it was, the entitlement. I'm saying no, I said firmly. His face changed subtly. So that's it? You're throwing us away because I was honest? You didn't want honesty, I said. You wanted insurance. There was a long silence. Then he said, you won't find someone who knows you like I do. I smiled sadly. That's the point. He stepped back, his hands up. Fine, I'll give you space. But I knew he didn't mean it. The next day, he showed up at my office. Security called me to say there was a man at reception insisting on delivering lunch. I walked out and saw Ryan with a familiar deli bag. He smiled like it was a romantic gesture. Just wanted to make sure you were eating, he said. Please escort him out, I told security. His smile flickered. Jill, don't make a scene. You already did, I replied. After that, things got worse. Flowers showed up, huge and public, with notes about forever. I threw them away. Then came the messages from new numbers, old memories used against me. Remember our first date? You promised we'd always be together. Don't punish me for growing. I called my friend Alex, who was a lawyer. He told me to start documenting everything. So I did, taking screenshots, recording voicemails, noting down dates and times. One Friday night, I'd agreed to dinner with Ethan, a guy I'd met at a photography workshop. The restaurant was cozy, with soft music and dim lights. We were halfway through our second glass of wine when I felt like someone was watching me. I looked up, and there was Ryan, standing near the entrance, dressed sharply. Jill, what a coincidence, he said loudly as he approached our table. Ethan frowned. Everything okay? I said evenly, this is Ryan, my ex. Ryan smiled and offered his hand to Ethan. Temporary ex. We're working things out. No, we're not, I said. But Ryan ignored me. Then, out of nowhere, his ex-girlfriend, Ava, appeared. She was wearing a red dress and had a fake smile. Well, this is nostalgic, she said. The tension in the air was thick. Ethan stood up. Jill, do you want to leave? Ryan bristled. Sit down. This doesn't concern you. Ethan looked at him calmly. It absolutely does. Ryan laughed sharply. So, this is it? A rebound? Something inside me snapped. Ryan, you are harassing me, I said loudly. Ava's smile faltered. Ryan stepped closer. You don't get to rewrite our story. You belong with me. I stood up and called for the manager. Within minutes, the staff surrounded us. Ryan tried to grab my phone as I was dialing the police, and he ended up knocking over my wine glass. The red wine soaked Ethan's shirt. The manager was firm. Sir, you need to leave. Ryan's voice rose, and Ava started crying. The place was in chaos. The police arrived 10 minutes later. I handed over my phone, my log, and the screenshots. Ryan tried to explain, to charm his way out, but it didn't work. That night, I filed for an emergency protection order. Now, sitting in the courthouse, I'm relieved that the judge saw through Ryan's actions. His mother's words don't hurt me. I know I did the right thing. 3 months later, Lily sent me a message through a mutual friend. He's in therapy. He says he understands now. He hopes someday you'll forgive him. I didn't reply. Forgiveness doesn't mean getting back together, and I'm not going to let anyone treat me like an option ever again. Ethan and I are taking things slow, and I'm finally free from the shadow of Ryan's entitlement. And sometimes, when I'm sitting on my couch, I think about that $500 deposit I lost, and I know it was the best money I ever spent.